for, I believe, 7 days. And what happens here is we introduce the yeast. The first thing we have to do is cool down the wort, because the yeast is a living organism. And if you put yeast, a living organism, into something that's 98 degrees, what do you think is going to happen?
Dies.
Yeah, it's going to burn to death. They scream. It's terrible. We put the yeast in, and the yeast eats up all of the sugar in the wort. It has 2 byproducts. Anybody want to guess what those are? 2 byproducts when yeast eats up sugar. One's carbon dioxide. The other one is sweet, sweet alcohol. We don't inject alcohol. People are like, oh, you put alcohol in beer. No. The alcohol is a natural byproduct of the yeast being introduced into the wort. What happens is we vent off a lot of that carbon dioxide because there would be too much and everything would go kaboom, and that would be bad. But we leave a lot of it in. It makes our beer naturally carbonated. If you notice when we go back to the bar and have our samples, you notice that Steamwhistle is very few bubbles, and they're all very fine. That's because we actually let our beer age naturally, and so it naturally carbonates. A lot of beers are artificially carbonated, where they have carbon injected into them, and so they're not nearly as good. They're more filling, you get that bloated feeling. So the beer ferments here for 7 days, and it moves on to the secondary tanks for another 21 days. You'll notice that all our tanks have a little funnel at the bottom. That's because Steamwhistle is a lager. It's a Pilsner, which is a type of lager. Lager is characterized by bottom fermenting yeast. Ales, the older styles of beer, darker, cloudier, more bitter beers, are top fermenting. That's the old way of doing it, and then they invented in the 19th century lager. So we filter all the yeast after it sinks to the bottom, having eaten up all the sugars, out of the bottom of the tanks, and we let the beer age for another 21 days. As I just said, most macro breweries, their beer takes anywhere from 7 to 10 days, start to finish. Ours is a month. It limits our production, but at the same time, it ensures that what you're getting is a really, really smooth, really, really good tasting beer. Any questions so far? All right, we're going to move on just down this way a little bit.
Wish this was an apartment.
Alright, as you guys will notice, both out in the gallery and on the wall here, there's numerous pieces of art in our brewery. How this works is it's very, very expensive to get gallery space in the city, so we actually donate all of our gallery space for free to artists. And what happens is the only payment that we ask for is that when their exhibit is done, they donate or create a piece for us to display in the brewery. So they get, art space, which is very hard to come by. We've had a lot of artists go on to a lot bigger and better things since they got their start here. And we get a rare piece that nobody else has to display at our brewery, which is pretty cool. Behind the gentleman here is actually the office of our brewmaster, the Czech gentleman, Medek Marunda. He came over to us in 2006. If you look in the back left corner, you'll see there's a door. He's actually got a cot in there. He's very, very dedicated, and he will on occasion sleep over just to make sure that everything's working properly. Very, very intelligent, very, very dedicated man. Any questions? Nope. All right, we're going to move on to keg.
And then it turns out
Take a look around, absorb the view. Can everybody hear me? Nice and loud? Alright. Obviously, once our beer is fermented, it's ready to be packaged. Our packaging takes place in 2 separate sets. We keg our beer, and we bottle our beer. Kegging makes up 60% of our production. Our kegs come actually in 3 varieties. These big guys here are the 50-liter kegs. They hold about 146 beers. We have a 30-liter keg, which is either down in the back left corner. You can see it's slightly smaller than the torpedo, or we have them over here as well. And then we just introduced, you see these cute little green dudes down here on the bottom? Those are our 20-liter kegs. They hold about 58 beers. They're a lot of fun. For any of you that have worked in a bar or have any extensive experience with kegs, if you're observant, you'll notice our kegs are actually a little different. You'll notice the top is completely circular. We actually import all our kegs from a brewery in Germany called Bristol that went out of business. And what happens is when you tap a normal keg, a lot of the times you don't get a good seal, the beer gets air struck, you get a lot of foam. To prevent this, we use the European style coupler. It's called the European slide coupler. And instead of going into the keg and being pulled down, it slides over the top with a circle thing, creating a 100% air seal. That way there's no way your beer's going to get foamy, you're going to get a bad tap or anything, and we ensure that you get to enjoy the product we meant for, the way that we meant for it to come to you. Pretty good idea. We also actually have a home delivery service. I know you guys are going back to Czech Republic and California, but if you want to throw your buddy a really, really good going away party, oh, very nice. Well, a welcome home party. We have a fleet of vintage vehicles, all from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. They're all painted Steamwhistle green. For a fee, I think of $45, they'll deliver up to 30 kegs to your house. They'll set up the pump, they'll set up the taps, they'll give you cups, and then come back the next day or afternoon if you're hungover, and they clean up all the kegs and take them home for you. Yeah, it's really awesome. The guy who does it, Ryan Geese, is a great guy, one of the funniest people in the world. So I would definitely recommend it if you're planning on doing anything big in the near future. Any questions?
So it's a flat fee of $35?
$45 or $55 if you live a little further away. I used to live out in Hamilton, and so it would be $55 to come out and do that.
Okay.
Alright. Hi, Ted. Hi, Jeff. Alright, at this point, we're going to go down on the floor. It's not a production day, so there's not too much going on down there, but at the same time, I'm going to have to ask everybody for liability purposes to be really, really careful. Don't put your hand in anything that it doesn't look like it should be in, and make sure you don't get run over by any forklifts. So we're going to go back down towards the stairs there. Should a forklift run in at some point?
No, he's just really irresponsible.
Yes, he's incredibly irresponsible. It's not like he's taping. So we're just going to mosey on down this way and down the stairs.